My name is Justice Montgomery, and my article was based on what is impulse buying and why does it matter. So, the first form of impulse buying that I would like to touch base on is the most common form and most harmful form of impulse buying, which is called pure impulse buying. Pure impulse buying is when a buyer receives an immediate attachment to something, to an item, a product that they may see, and it leads them into an unnecessary purchase and especially an unplanned purchase. So, for example, a buyer he may walk into the store to get a t-shirt, but then once he notices all like the sweet treats and things like that, then he impulsively buys those as well. And this is the example of pure impulse buying. Now, this form is the most harmful because once they receive the excitement from the item to which they saw, once they purchase that item, especially if it's a unnecessary purchase or something that they don't need that much, it becomes a regret, and the excitement it goes away once they purchase it, and then the it turns into a regret. And once it turns into a regret, then this from there it could lead into depression and just general emptiness and just general sorrowfulness. So that's why this is the most harmful form of impulse buying. So now the less harmful form of impulse buying, there are two of them that I would like to touch base on. One being reminder impulse buying. Reminder impulse buying is when somebody notices an item and they remember that they actually do need that item. So for example, a man may go to the store again to get a T-shirt or something, but then that that once they see the milk, they see that okay, they get reminded that okay, I do need milk. So they go and they get the milk. So it's impulsive because it's an unplanned purchase, but at least it's a a well purchase. Like it's a purchase that can edify your house and can build up your house and something that you need instead of pure impulse buying, which is usually just unnecessary. So now the next form of impulse buying I would like to touch base on is called suggestion impulse buying. And this is the form of impulse buying that I actually did fall victim to over this past weekend. Uh, when I went to Chicago. So I went to Chicago and I saw they had Swim Shock. They had Swim Shock, and it always comes in a 4 pack. The Swim Shock, it always comes in a 4 pack. It's just one right here, but it usually comes in a 4 pack. And here in Indianapolis, it's usually like $29. But when I went to the store in Chicago, it was 17.99. So it was like $18. So this made me much more convinced to buy the product because usually I would have to buy $10 over, but in this case I just had to buy just $18 worth. So I said, okay, this is unplanned for me to buy it and kind of unnecessary considering my pool it was already clean. uh so it was kind of unnecessary, but I was convinced to buy it because it was on a discount. And that is what suggestion impulse buying is when something is at a lower price than usual or something is at discount. So that's what I have fell victim to over this past weekend. um yeah. So a common question that may stem from all of this information is if a buyer buying cigarettes is considered an impulsive purchase. And the answer is no, because a smoker, he does not rely on noticing the cigarettes to then purchasing them. You know, instead, the buyer, he already has planned even before they have left the house, like they already planned to, get the cigarettes. So that's why it's not impulsive purchasing. But overall, I challenge you to keep yourself from regret, unnecessary purchases, and overall just the terrible impacts of impulse purchasing. Unless, of course, it's a reminder impulse purchasing. But even in that case, if you're relying on having to get reminded by seeing an item to then remember that okay, you do need that item, that's not the most efficient way to shop. Instead, you should just write down all of your insufficient items at home, and from there, you can just shop with efficiency and know what you're lacking in. So, yeah, this is Justice Montgomery, and this is my video.